If I don't know who I am, it's because I feel like maybe you don't want to know.
Are you acting?
No.
Looks like lines.
They are lines, but the feeling is honest.
You're insane.
Riz Ahmed, sir, welcome to the Awards Tour podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start with this show, Bait, which has been out for a little bit now. You took it to South by Southwest and a couple other spots. Folks are digging it, well reviewed. But I love the story that this came about because you had the audacity to pitch Barbara Broccoli on how you're going to do a James Bond movie. Like, I want to know about that because they're just, anyone getting near James Bond seems like a problem. And you seem to have somehow fell under this like favorite son where she's like, yeah, let him do it.
For Barbara Broccoli's favorite son. Yeah, that's all.
I mean,
I want it to be on my tombstone, man. So it's kind of interesting, because be really honest with you, Jacqueline, it's like the James Bond thing came late in the day. We knew we wanted to make a show that's about how we're always looking for love in all the wrong places. And we always want to be someone other than who we are. And so when we were thinking of who's a perfect symbol for this character of wish fulfillment, who does he really wish he was? Who is this symbol of aspiration? And we thought James Bond, obviously, right? Because he's like the peak of manhood, cinematic achievement, desirability, British acceptance. So you're like, great, it's perfect, it's James Bond. Now how are we going to get permission to use it? So we had the same kind of thought you did, which is like never in a million years. And we were told by everyone and their uncle that never in a million years will Barbara Broccoli let you use this. But to her credit, she understood when we met her at a diner. Yeah, it was like a secret agent meeting, it was like a drop-off point. I gave her the scripts. She read them. We had a chat over eggs. And to her credit, she loved the scripts and she really understood what we were trying to do. She understood that we were trying to tell a story about family and ambition and really trying to hold on to the authenticity of who you are in a world that tells you that you're not good enough. Yeah. And she understood it wasn't really about James Bond. So she said, go with God, do the thing. She said, my only request is do not portray me in your show. And I was like, I can absolutely do that. So yeah, we were pinching ourselves, but it was one of many things where we shot our shot and we were just on a wing and a prayer. We're not sure if it would work out, and it did. And it feels like that way about James Bond. It feels that way about the Georgia Smith theme song. And it feels that way about Patrick Stewart being in the show. There's such a kind of strange combination of things took place. And it really feels like in many ways the show kind of fell together in a way that we couldn't have even controlled or hoped for.
I also love how the show, I've known you for a little bit, and I'll tell this story here, but my very first major junket interview was Rogue One, and you were like my one interview that day. So I felt like I've been able to like keep up with you on various things. And what I've known over my time following your career is this is an Academy Award winning producer, nominated actor who also is like on a Lin-Manuel Miranda mixtape, and he voices for, video games, and he's also an artist. And so your eclectic approach to your life, I feel, is the same as this show. Like I literally was like, I don't know. And I don't know you this well, but I was like, this dude just put himself in this show and made a show that reflects his sentiment as a person. I hope I'm not,
You're 100% right. You're 100% right, Jacqueline. That's the greatest compliment you could give to me in the show, because I wanted to be bold in that way and do something that felt kind of scary, particularly as an actor. We're used to hiding behind roles and hiding behind these masks. And I thought, if I want to tell a story about a guy that has to learn to take off the mask, then I have to do that myself. I can't pretend. And so I kind of almost felt like the journey that the character goes on in the show is a similar journey that I've gone on, which is leaning into the specificity and honesty of your experience and doing it in an unapologetic way. Really, I did it not because maybe partly I'm using the show as a therapy session, but it wasn't just that. It's because I really believe that the more honest you are, the more it kind of connects with people. And I wanted to kind of put make something super personal in a way that felt at times risky and exposing and super vulnerable. So, for example, at the end of episode 1, when my character has a panic attack, I had a panic attack on that exact stage in that music venue in North London when I was supporting Wu-Tang Clan in concert, burst out into that same alleyway. At the top of episode 3, my character gets jumped as a kid. I got jumped on that staircase in that park behind my parents' house where we filmed. Again and again, even when my character gets approached by MI5 and they say, yo, will you spy for us? Now that you're becoming a more prominent actor, that literally happened to me. Once I started doing more prominent roles, they reached out to me and said, hey, can you help us out on some messaging and this, that? I was like, no, thank you. I'm an artist. Like, keep that where it is. So I tried to pull from very, very specific things and try and make something very vulnerable to really just try and make something honest that people could really connect to. And like you said, the eclecticism is something that I struggled with my whole life. People are like, are you this or are you this? Do you like this or are you this? You got to pick a lane. And I've never been able to pick a lane for better or worse. And so I wanted to make a show that put it all out there and has all those different colors of the rainbow in it.
I got something for you I'll give you, and I got it from another eclectic multi-hyphenate, and this is Coleman Domingo. For folks that don't know, Coleman Domingo is also like, he cast and directed on Euphoria. He's a director, he's a writer. He's another one of these people that just doesn't seem to find a job on a set he doesn't want to do. Yeah. He says, don't ever take me out of the game. I love the game. I'll tell you when I want to be out of it. So if anybody tries to come to you and say like, hey, why are you doing too much? You'd be like, I like the game. Don't take me out of the game. So I liked that, like, put back from Coleman is like a good way to like shut people down when they're trying to put you into one box. I love in this one too, maybe you were going through therapy. Maybe you were like figuring out, oh, this is something that I experienced and it makes me feel better to put it on screen. But I also feel you robbed from some very universal parts of whether it be, Pakistani, British, or Muslim American, like just these universal experiences of immigrants in like formal colonial places. Like I feel like all of it, whether it be like any actor in Hollywood of your ilk has dealt with everything that you've done. Where did you mine stories outside of your experience? Because I feel like even more of them are probably from either your writer's room or just like, I don't know, did you just call up all the guys you get mistaken for and be like, all right, what did you have to happen today?
No, to be honest, like a lot of it was kind of drawing from my own life experience. And then with the writer's room, the characters kind of take on their own life. And then when you call amazing actors, it's like, even in that stage in prep, then you're like, okay, we got to rewrite the whole father character. He's not going to be a religious, disapproving dad. He's going to be a slightly horny, kind of mischievous uncle kind of character. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so these things kind of start coming to life, stages to stages. But honestly, yeah, a lot of it was kind of drawn from that raw personal experience. But, you're speaking about the universality of it. I really believe that you don't have to be an actor. You don't have to be Muslim, British, Pakistani, or anything to relate to this feeling that the show is really about, which is that, sometimes life feels like one big audition. That's really what the show is about. It's like we're always performing this public version of ourselves that we hope will be good enough because we feel that our true selves is too messy, chaotic, and vulnerable. And I think everyone can relate to that with social media, with LinkedIn, even on his Zoom calls, everything on this side of the frame and on this side of the frame is a mess. I've just found one piece of wall that makes it look like I'm vaguely put together human being. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you're doing better than me. I need to tighten up.
Exactly. So I think that there is this this feeling that is really universal, which is we're made to feel like we're not good enough. And when we feel like we're not enough, we try and do too much. And that's when we start making a mess. That's where the comedy really comes from.
Yeah, and Shaw is definitely doing the most. Like, let's be very real on like every aspect of it. I do feel like there's a lot of things too that now that the show has been out, people from your community are probably keying in on. What has been the moment from the show? Like, I even saw you did an interview with, I want to say, Hassan Minhaj, and he was talking about the universality of the fact that like the most accomplished guy coming to the Pakistani or Indian wedding and everybody hates it like that. Like that, I feel. Have you gotten
everyone in every community has a rival? It doesn't you're in a football team in Texas or if you're in Northwest London in a Pakistani wedding, everyone has a cousin nemesis or family friend nemesis that the parents like, see, look at so and so, huh? They,
Mm-hmm.
they go to church and they got a good job and look, they're on their second kid. And so you've got that rival always. And so we wanted to dramatize that. We felt that was really universal. But in that episode, we felt, you know what? How do we pay homage to these Bollywood soap operas that, we kind of grew up watching? Because, every episode in the show takes place in a different genre.
Yes.
Right? We figured if the show's about an actor having an identity crisis, how can the show be having an identity crisis? How can the show be trying to figure out what it is? So we got a Bond episode, we got a Bollywood episode, we got a Richard Linklater Before Sunrise walk and talk episode. It's like this actor's trying to find what story he belongs in. And so we thought if we're going to mine that, like the juice of the community rivalry and the melodrama of that, we need to do it within the Bollywood soap opera genre. So that's why when you see him enter, he enters like he's in one of those, South Indian kind of movies.
I know, sure, right? I know exactly what all this is. Like, I'm with
exactly, yeah. So we wanted it to feel emotionally honest, even though that's a very heightened sequence. It does feel like these people we're compared to in the community, they floated in on a cloud of doves, and they're walking on water suddenly. And they're like the second coming of Christ. So it's like, yeah, we wanted to play with that feeling. And it's been really funny to see people kind of pick up on that trope.
Well, I'm curious, what has been the one part within these very eclectic things that people have come back to the most? Because the show kind of begs, I think, once you watch it, for people to be like, oh my God, this moment. Like, in my favorite moment is at the beginning when you're mic'd up and you're telling yourself that you're like you're laughing. Because I get mic'd up all the time. And like I go to like Access Hollywood and I'm paranoid that these people are gonna like get me. And so that was the one that had me being like, and it felt a little bit like a little wink and a nod to that moment that Leo has in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought that was also really kind of great. Like maybe that wasn't your inspiration, but it reminded me of that moment of like everybody thinking that they suck right before they try to go deliver. Well, what has been the moment that you've had people talk to you the most about from the show? Because I do feel like it has so many of those moments.
Oh man, there's a few things that really stick out. What's been really interesting is like how different things stick out for different people. For some people, that whole of episode 4, walk and talk with me and Ritu, who plays my ex-girlfriend Yasmin, is just a side of London I've never seen before. In the way that we have this kind of very touristic side of European cities presented, but that kind of immigrant underbelly, those back alleys, those vibrant communities doing, as I said, like a Before Sunrise walk and talk in that place. I think that was really meaningful for a lot of people and really resonated. But if I had to kind of maybe do a bit of a cop-out answer, I would say stuff with the family. With the family, all bickering, talking over each other, shouting, being chaotic, saying crazy stuff, accidentally offending you, even though they think they're trying to be helpful. That I think is so universal to people. I've had, people from Latinx backgrounds saying like, that's my family. That is literally my family. I've had, went to South by Southwest and meeting people from Texas who are culturally from very different backgrounds saying like, I cannot tell you, I feel like you met my mother, and it's so interesting, like to be able to really hone in on something so specific in that way and feel that it resonates. So I would say like the family stuff, and secretly the family stuff is my favorite as well, because I just love all those actors. I love how they brought the characters to life. And there's a very special story about how I met, every single one of them. So again, it feels like it was almost meant to be.
Yeah, my dad, God rest him, he worked in movies, and he was much more similar to the dad in this one. That just like he like his nickname was Cool Man Coley. Like, come on,
oh
kid.
Wow!
That man
was film business. What did he do in movies?
He was a driver and a caterer for many years.
Wow.
God rest his soul, he passed a few years back. But yeah, he was like that, where he was just like, oh, I can pull Rihanna. I can talk. Let me work it. Like, what, Beyonce ain't got to worry about Bootylicious. I'll tell her where she is. Like, that was my dad. You know what I mean? Like, very that. And so I loved seeing, because I don't think they show that as much, to your point. And I liked seeing that version of the dad in this. I really dug it.
I'm glad.
The other thing, which is true, this is a movie about, an actor being up for the role of James Bond. And in some ways, the overarching story is a thriller as to whether or not he's going to pull it off. Like, is he going to actually get this role? And so it kind of like overarches into the spy thriller, but you give yourself genuine spy moments. So even if, you're still on a lot of those lists for James Bond, at least you kind of got to play around with it. What was your favorite bit of the spy stuff?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, I remember when Jordan Peele made Get Out, I think he said, I keep saying this, I hope I'm not misquoting him, but I think he said something like, being Black in America sometimes feels like you're in a horror movie. And so that's why he made Get Out, which I was really resonated with me. And so I was inspired by that. And my thesis was, being brown in the West sometimes feels like you're stuck in a spy thriller. Mm-hmm. And so that is partly why we wanted to use a James Bond template. And that's partly why we wanted to kind of have this whole story about this character trying to find his authenticity in a world that either will commodify it and sell it or will punish you for being authentic. We wanted to tell the story within the genre of the spy thriller, because spy thrillers are all about double identities, torn loyalties, being looked at but not seen, surveillance, not knowing who you can trust, being in a chase sequence, although what he's chasing here is validation and what he's running away from is the inner critic, right? Wow. And so it felt like so much of our experience actually sits inside the spy thriller genre, weirdly. That's why I put up on the screen, Wembley, and it comes up on screen, all these super specific deep cut neighborhoods in London, like Kentish Town, Brick Lane, because in the Bond movies, it always kind of comes up on screen somewhere in the Caribbean or like Mexico City. And I wanted to elevate our day-to-day neighborhoods to that same level of grandeur and epic stakes of those locations in the Bond thrillers. It was my way of saying, hey, you know what? Our day-to-day reality is already a spy thriller. Shah wants to be this thing, but bro, you haven't realized you're already in one, whether you like it or not. Okay. And so the spy genre, it was more than a kind of wink and more than a kind of playful homage. It was really, it kind of goes to the soul of what we felt is sometimes paranoid, claustrophobic experience can be when you feel like an outsider.
Yeah. No, it's really well done. And also, I haven't said this, but just so funny, so well written. And for every moment that you have is doubled over in like the next minute, you're like, oh, what's happening? Like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, when he hugs the guy that comes in with the sound thing, I was just like, that's what I would do. Because what else is there to do? You can't say anything, hug him. I have to ask this, not that you haven't given us enough, because Bait has its own like musical numbers and you're producer, writer, creator of this. So you got your hand in all of that. You've kind of made a musical already in a lot of ways. When are you going to actually make one? Because as a visual artist, but as well as like a musical artist who has like not a small amount of soundtrack credits, the fact that you haven't made a musical seems weird to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, where's my musical?
Thank you for the encouragement, man. Musicals are hard. That is, you have to really...
Lin-Manuel Miranda, call him up.
It's true. Make it happen. It's the kind of thing where I feel like you have to be absolutely obsessed with an idea for a long enough period of time to really do that. And it's funny, I've thought about that myself, but I don't think I found exactly the right idea. Having said that, I do feel like music is such an important part of storytelling for me. I grew up in Bollywood. It's like the movies were just an excuse to get to the songs almost sometimes. And that's what we were trying to do in weaving the music into Bait as well. Is I was thinking a lot about Birdman and Uncut Gems, movies where the music almost feels like a character, and it sets the tone. It's almost a frame that you can look at the whole painting in. And so it's not like, it's almost like the music is drawing attention to itself, saying like, I'm here, I'm level setting, I know this story's getting crazy, but take my hand. I'm your consistent presence. I'm the Greek chorus almost. And the music announces itself in that overt way. And so we really with our amazing music supervisor, Kira Elwes, we honed in on a very particular period of Pakistani and Indian cinema music in the late 70s and early 80s. And it's just wild. It's like Bollywood disco, psychedelic funk. It's music that I think isn't that well known, which makes me happy to share it with people. But we just wanted to find something as psychedelic and surreal and playful and unpredictable as the show we were trying to make, and to kind of set a tone with that, particularly as the show starts to get more and more surreal and like almost like an Alice in Wonderland acid trip. We needed music that felt like people maybe were doing acid when they were making it, and I think that's probably maybe something like that was happening.
I dig it. Also, shout out to Amazon. I did know that because they put this thing called X-Ray as a part of this. I'm giving an Amazon little
Yes, you're right.
plug
And
right
so it
here.
shows the
I
music.
clicked on some of those songs and I was like, what is this from? This is dope. So I know that is a conversation. I know there was emails around that you had to be a part of. So good job. I definitely looked at a couple of those songs when I was watching it. We do have to get out of here pretty soon, but I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the other stuff that you've done in your filmography. Like I said, have been sort of like somebody that studied your career for a while. So I'm just going to throw out a couple of your titles and I'm just going to ask you, what is your most prevailing memory from having worked on that? I'm going to start with one that was obviously a good one, your first Academy Award nomination, Sound of Metal. What is your sort of like prevailing moment when you think about that moment to now?
My prevailing moment of that was wrestling with the writer-director Darius Marder on the grass in the middle of two very intense, tearful scenes. And we just had so much love for each other. And it was so joyous making it, even though it was intense scenes. We just started looked at each other, started laughing and wrestled each other on the floor, ruined all my wardrobe. Costume were not happy.
Okay, well, you did good. I don't care. The next one I definitely want to talk to you about because I think it's another one where I have love for it, but I don't think as many people have seen, and that's your work with Charlie XCX on the boys video. What was that like?
That was literally 15 minutes jump in at Coachella. They filmed it at Coachella where everyone was going to be just before we were about to go on stage, just after we come off stage, performing with Sweatshop Boys. So it was honestly one of the most painless, easy, and fun video shoots I've ever done. Just
nice.
On stage, come in, here's some pink, throw it on, jump here, here's a teddy bear, smile, let's roll. So shout out Charlie for that, who's also British Asian from Northwest London. So presenting, yeah.
Also, you were on her early before she was like Brat Summer. You were in early days on that one, like a true musician would be. The other one I want to talk about, which is you got to step on a Wes Anderson set recently.
Can I tell you, it is the most surreal, incredible, unique experience ever. Obviously, biggest memory is playing basketball in an underground train station with Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, and Benicio del Toro. Which is what happened in the movie. I mean, I was just like, what's happening? This is the most surreal scene because he creates such surreal situations with such amazing.
He makes theater camp too. When y'all come together, y'all sleep in the same place. It's great.
It's exactly what it is. It's theater camp. Well, yeah, well said.
I love it. The other one, The Night Of, another one of your entries that I am a huge fan of.
Two people I worked with who had a great impact with me earlier on in my career. One was John Turturro and one was Michael K. Williams. And Michael was somebody who was just so welcoming, so warm, who really kind of, brought me into his kind of world and his social circle on set. And I think I'll just say working with him, seeing the way that he carries himself, he's serious about the work, but doesn't take himself seriously. And such a charismatic energy. That had a big impact on me. And may he rest in peace. He's a hero.
I love it. We are going to get out of here. And I guess this comes onto this thing, but you are going to be in probably one of the biggest movies this year, already with one of the biggest movie stars this year, Digger, a movie that nobody knows anything about, barely knows the title. You know what I mean? What can you tell us at all? And then what was it like, again, stepping on to set with one of the biggest movie stars in the world and Tom Cruise? No big deal. I
can exclusively reveal that I can't tell you anything about this film. It's so great. It's I may have already said too much, well,
we know you're in it.
Even by just saying no, I'm playing. I can tell you that making it was a really, really unique experience for sure. As you would expect, Chibo, the DP, Alejandro, the director, and Tom Cruise, the star of this, at the heart of this, are all such, their work ethic, their attention to detail, their kind of energy and perfectionism was just infectious, and it was unlike anything I've really seen before. They just care so much and will push every last inch. And of course, we all do. We all care. We all push every last inch. But I think it was like to a level and to an extent that I'd never quite experienced before, that level of attention to detail. Because quite frankly, on a lot of films, you maybe don't have the resources and time to keep pushing. Like we all keep pushing. But at some point, right, all right, that's that. We got to go. It's like, now we're not walking away from this till it is exactly what we want, what we've dreamed of. And so that was just like such a gift to be in that working environment.
I dig it. I dig it. Well, we're gonna get out of here. I would be remiss because I do think that you're somebody that also watches a lot. In fact, I think the last time I may have seen you in person was at Cannes, continuing to be somebody that just lives for cinema and storytelling. What are you watching? What would you be recommending besides folks check out Bait on Amazon Prime Video right now?
Besides that, I literally am obsessed with a show that I have not been able to finish because I need to change the region on my HBO Max app, but The Chair Company.
Oh, really? I haven't seen this yet, but I know about it.
Chair Company. I just love shows that are unlike anything else, and I think it has a tone and a sense of humor and a world and just a personality, is like singing at the heart of it. It feels like only that person could have made it. So I'm loving The Chair Company right now.
Yeah, and before I get out of here, I want to thank you too. I think Sound and Metal was the first thing you produced, and you've just become such a prolific producer since then. I was so happy to see you lift up the Oscar for the film that you did, for the short film. So congrats, man. Keep
Thanks
being
so much,
incredibly
Jacqueline.
successful and awesome.
I really, really appreciate the support. And yeah, hopefully we'll sit behind each other at another screening some point soon and chop it up afterwards. Talk about
Definitely. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Much love. Take care.